So 60 Minutes had another one of these. The white kids are shooting up the country and mass shootings here, there, everywhere. They're roaming the country with high-powered weapons, killing people all the time. And they kind of went on like that for about 20 minutes, which of course means that we have to go back into our recent clips, our recent emails. I'm talking about the last couple of days to set 60 Minutes straight, set a lot of other people straight. The mass shootings in America, this ain't black thing. Why don't we start down, just down in Baltimore for no other reason than they had a quintuple shooting in Baltimore over the weekend. What's the headline say? Gunman opens fire on crowd in East Baltimore, killing 19-year-old. Police said the quintuple shooting occurred Saturday night, and when they were called to the scene by the shot spotter, which means they had a quintuple shooting there and nobody dialed 911. Why don't we head down to Durham, North Carolina?
Durham police tell us Basara Biryani Restaurant and Grill turns into a club environment at night. 200 people were inside when a shooting happened around 2 o'clock Sunday morning. Durham police tell us there was an argument that led to 3 people being shot. Ambulances took 2 victims to the hospital. The third arrived there later. All the victims are expected to be okay. From this crime scene, Durham police sped off to a second shooting just minutes away. Police investigated the second shooting on Martin Luther King Jr. Parkway and Chapel Hill Road. We later learned from police these 2 shootings are connected, but they aren't saying how. Residents we spoke with say this weekend's shootings seem to follow a recent trend of violence in Durham.
And up in near Columbus, Ohio, I find that a lot of people don't know that the fellas have lots and lots of motorcycle clubs too. Lots and lots of argy-bargy centered around them, like this one.
3 of the 5 victims hurt in a drive-by shooting this morning outside of a motorcycle club in North Linden. Investigators telling us at least 13 shots were fired. Tonight, the search continues for that shooter. Josh Rogers has the very latest on the investigation.
People on this North Linden street say they're used to hearing loud noises at all hours of the night.
It's just chaos every weekend over here.
They usually congregate at like 2:30 in the morning. They rev up their engines. They play loud music.
But this morning, the noise coming from the Toros Motorcycle Club was extraordinarily loud.
Last night I heard gunshots. Every Saturday they do this.
I knew someone was shooting. I knew it was coming from down there. Like I said, this is not the first shooting that didn't happen over here.
Columbus police say around 5 a.m., someone pulled up in front of the club in a white Crown Victoria and shot at least 18 times before driving away, hitting 5 people. Some were hit multiple times. All 5 of those people are expected to be okay.
What we're being told right now is about a half hour before the shooting occurred, somebody was thrown out of the club. We're not sure if it's related or not. And then a vehicle drove by and shot up the club.
Detective Darren Egelhoff says the Toros have never been a problem.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the Toros.
Both of these people live on Genesee Avenue on a section of the street that is mostly homes, and they don't understand how police could say the club isn't a problem.
I don't know why would the police would say that. They patronize the people coming by here with the boom boom systems, and you know, it rattles the windows and shakes everything's on the wall, and they just don't seem to care. Like, can we go to y'all's neighborhood and do that?
Cautious to reveal who they are in fear of retaliation, they say the motorcycle club moved into the building a few months ago and has since disrupted a quiet street.
If you guys can help me, I'd certainly be so gratified that something can be done and we can live in peace once again.
We're learning more about a developing story. Columbus police are investigating a shooting that happened in North Columbus at an apartment complex where 3 people were shot, one being as young as the age of 3 years old.
Down in South Carolina, here's one of 2 mass shootings over the weekend. That 11-year-old young lady is dead. How about we head over to Hampton, Virginia?
Yeah, Jessica and Blaine, I mean, This morning, the scene is looking a lot different than it did Saturday evening. I mean, behind me, this entire area was blocked off with crime tape. There was also a heavy police presence just up and down Buckrow Beach. If you take a look at this video, this is what the scene looked like. Again, Saturday evening, police say officers were patrolling Buckrow Beach just before 8 o'clock Saturday night when several shots were fired in the area. Now, police say officers immediately responded to the shooting and found 4 people shot: a 7-year-old girl, a 12-year-old boy, a 31-year-old woman, and a 52-year-old man. All 4 were rushed to the hospital. This morning, we are learning from police the 12-year-old boy may not survive.
Over in Chicago at Parkway Gardens, 4 people were shot, including a pregnant woman. In the Bronx, this is a thing now in the Bronx. A fellow rides a bike around the Bronx and shoots people. Over the weekend, there were 3 people shot by one fella wearing a hoodie. And in Chicago, on the CTA, a fella took a gun and shot 3 people. No, I don't know why any of these people did this. Out in Richmond, California, a suburb of Oakland, a dark and dirty, dangerous chocolate city outside of Oakland. 5 are hurt in a Richmond drive-by shooting. Let's head on down to Jacksonville.
This is a live look through our News4Jax night cam where Jacksonville police remain at the scene of a shootout. They say that 1 person is dead. 3 people were shot this evening on Palmdale Street near Lim Turner. We're learning that 1 person was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Right now, officers are searching for 2 men in connection with this incident. South Bend, Indiana was the center of a little bit of the national attention this week when the mayor of South Bend, what's his name, Buttigieg? Mayor Pete Buttigieg, he went back there because a cop found somebody burglarizing a car at 5 a.m. A white cop found a black fella burglarizing a car at 5 a.m. That's a thing now. Black people just walk up and down the streets, testing doors. If the door's open, they grab your stuff. Yeah, it happened to me last week because Mr. Bonehead here, I walked out of my car with a package full of stuff, armful of stuff, and I did not click my thing. Next day I saw it on my, next day I went to my car. The insides were all turned over. Nothing was really missing. Looked at my Ring video and just saw a little bit of it, but there it was. I think it happened at that happened at like 5 a.m. as well. Anyway, so Mayor Pete was in town for that. All the fellows were mad that the cop had to shoot the fella because the fella was coming at the cop with a knife. Everybody was real mad, and they were, Mayor Pete's insisting we're going to give cops better training on what to do when some fella comes at you with a knife. We're going to show you how to de-escalate that, Mr. Police Officer. Can't wait for that. Meanwhile, at a bar called Kelly's, I don't know if it's a black bar or a white bar. One thing about South Bend, right? Home of Notre Dame. No, South Bend is essentially a chocolate city with a few universities in it. So we had 1 killed. One guy who was killed was a white kid. Most of the other people that were not white. And another big tip-off, besides people in South Bend telling me what was happening, you had 100 people go to the hospital looking to take revenge on somehow another group who was at the hospital that they thought was responsible for the shooting. Yeah, having 100 people at the hospital showing up to create massive violence at a hospital, that's a black thing too. Why do you think hospitals are now fortresses now? We've got hospitals with armed guards and dogs. Yeah, dogs. Good luck with that one, Mayor Pete. The mayor, of course, the police chief came out and reminded us that they're working with everybody, regardless of race, to make South Bend, Indiana, a beautiful place where everybody gets along regardless of race. Here's a weird one. I almost didn't put this one on the list first because this is in a little town called La Jolla in San Diego. La Jolla is a very, very rich place. Not many black people live there. But in this part of La Jolla, they have a black church with a black Section 8 housing project nearby. 4 people were outside over the weekend at night. Some fellas drove by, shot 4 of them, including one white girl, 3 black people. It was fellas pulling the trigger. Here's Detroit, 5 hurt in 2 shootings. Well, we know one of those is a mass shooting. In Philly, we had a quadruple shooting. Among all the other
bits of argy-bargy in Philly over the weekend. Saginaw, Michigan. Man killed, another 3 wounded. That's another quintuple shooting. 3 people shot in a White Center alleyway. Where the hell's White Center? I forget.
Are investigating a shooting in White Center. They say 3 people were shot and are now being treated at Harborview. Officials say they got a call about shots being fired around 5:30 this morning, but deputies didn't find anything on that scene. Later, people with Harborview called to say that 3 people with gunshot wounds showed up there to the hospital. They say that shooting happened in the shopping area around Southwest 98th Street and 17th Avenue. The Major Crimes Unit is there investigating at this point.
Louisville, 6 people shot, including 3 in a mass shooting.
At least 6 people were shot last night in Metro Louisville. 3 of them died. This afternoon, police are working to determine who was involved and if any of the cases were connected. WLKY's Carolyn Callahan joins us live from police headquarters, breaking all the details that she has down for us. Carolyn?
Monica, it was a long night for the officers here at LMPD. Right now, they're saying at least 2 of those shooting scenes were connected. Here's what things looked like around 11:15 last night on Wheeler Avenue. That's where police found 2 women in a car. Both had been shot. One of those women died. The other is at the hospital but is expected to survive. Now, during this investigation, police heard about another shooting nearby on Parthenia Avenue. When they got there, they found a man who had been shot. He died at the hospital. Police say these scenes are connected.
This one's not from the weekend. It's from a couple days before the weekend in Iowa. 6 of the fellows were standing on a street corner. Another fella drove by, shot them all. And here's another one from a couple days ago. You know, we're not even doing like a week ago because it's too many happened over the weekend, but this one just came in. Let's just put it in there. 6 people shot, 4 teenagers at a graduation party in Southwest Philly. Anybody wants to do a story about mass shootings at graduation parties? Anybody wants to do a story about all the argy-bargy at black graduation parties? Yeah, there's a lot of it. A lot of it.
They're investigating a shooting on the city's west side. It happened just before 11:30 last night. Officers say they found 2 men and 1 woman shot off of West Washington Street and North Warman Avenue.
In a shooting that left 3 people dead and 1 wounded in Abbeville. State agents say a 19-year-old suspect was taken into custody this morning. 7 News' Christine Scarpelli. She's live in Greenwood where that suspect is now being held. Hi, Christine.
That's right, Sabila. Yeah, Elijah Tyrez Head being held right behind us here at the Greenwood County Detention Center. This after SLED, State Law Enforcement Division agents found him at a Greenwood motel very early this morning. We're learning he's facing multiple charges, including murder and attempted murder. All of this after the Abbeville County coroner says Abbeville police found 4 shooting victims in the Hickory Heights apartments in Abbeville. 2 of those shooting victims we're learning were found dead on scene. Shirley Jones and Stephen Tinch. 2 others were taken to area hospitals. One of those, John Tavier Moss, died at Self Regional Hospital. The other victim condition we don't know.
Counted at least 20. Most of them from the last couple days, all of them from the last 7 days.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Yet 60 Minutes and everybody else who talks about mass shootings, they'll always put the pictures of the white guys out there. Dylan Roof, Colin. Haven't you ever heard of Dylan Roof? I heard of him. But what I know is that what I know right now is when the New York Times said 75% of mass shooters in this country are black, that is an absolute minimum floor. Because every time we do this, we're coming up with 20, 25 mass shootings over the last week or 2, and 90% of those are black. That's a fact. Even if that fact does make the black kids angry.